Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs. If he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh. On a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of falling humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to the triune acts, Acts 1, 2, and 3 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam, Islam, Islamism. Providence of Allah is ever all his works. He ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. He hath instituted laws for the government of the world. He hath wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature conforming to his will. Shemotepu Moorish kin. Peace and love.
Peace and love and gratitude, the gratitude for opening of our meeting according to law. Islam, Islam, Islam. Marvin, Daniel, Gates, Constitution of the spiritual. Muted. Giving all praises to the great God Allah, the Father of the universe, and giving highest honor to his prophet, our prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give high honors to our Moorish American government, our Act 1, and all of our officials and citizens of the Moorish American government, and everything that is Moorish. And that's everything that the prophet brought to save us as a nation of people, so that fallen humanity may be saved from the wrath of Allah. I will be reading now Second chapter of the week, chapter 34. Jehoshua, the prophet, has finished his task and must go to the sons of men with love divine and peace on earth. And I will begin. The work of Jehoshua was done, and now he must go to teach the sons of men. And in the temple he stood and said, the Son of Man has come to bring the light of life. And all the brothers stood and said, this is a royal day for all the hosts of the earth. For salvation has come to all the children of men. 6 times before the water, 6 times before. And then one said to Jehoshua, brother man, most excellent of men, in all the temple tests you have won out. Upon your brow I placed this diadem, and in this great assembly of all the world in heaven, you are the mastermind of all. Now, man, myself, now man can do no more, but Allah himself will speak and confirm your title. Go your way and teach peace on earth, goodwill to men. And while the hierophant yet spoke, the temple bells rang out in love, and the Logos journeyed on his way a conqueror. Islam. I'm Dr. Marvin Edward Bay, Consul General of the Texas Territory. Today's date is August 23, 2025. To give honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of America, Dr. Shedwa Mitiel Moheji Sipsuel, for the opening of our meeting according to law. In honor to Dr. Marvin Edward Bay, Consul General of the Texas Territory, for the reading of the chapter of the week of our Holy Quran and taking registration. Again, Islam is on the song. We want to welcome everyone. For the next National Assistant Grand Sheikh, all the brothers stood and said, this is a royal day for all the hosts of the earth. For salvation has come for all the children of men. 6 times before the bar, 6 times the conqueror. And again, we want to welcome everyone to our class. And at this time, we will now call to our host, National Assistant Grand Sheikh of North America, Dr. Shedwa Mitiel Moheji Sipsuel. Are you there, God man?
Islam, can you hear me?
I hear you kind of breaking up at the moment.
Yeah, just give it a second. It'll adjust. It should be right now. That's good.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Islam. Islam, Moorish America. Want to rise upon the 7th, having already risen. We rise again upon the 7th and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again here, there, and everywhere. And therefore, honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are a living manifestation and personification of everything that our Holy Prophet brought to exhume us as a nation. I want to welcome you to another Moorish Perspectives. I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Amohadi Shabazil. And my ancient committee and high name being the same as Dr. Shedwa Minchiel Moheji Shepsuel. And we most definitely have a powerful measure to bring forth to our Moorish kin. Praise be to Allah, Islamism without the schism. Um, we have layers upon layers, so to speak, to demonstrate as it relates to our unfoldment in tonight's Moorish perspective. So we ask that our family have their paper and pen on handy and just lay back, so to speak, and enjoy the grand vibration that we had to bring forth in our Moorish perspectives. We are in a very powerful chapter after everything it is that Yehoshua has come through, as it relates to dealing with his journey along the way to becoming adept, and go out to teach his people. Because that's the whole key. He was being prepared for the degrees and given the keys, so to speak, so that he can actually get on the front line and now demonstrate what it is that he had learned as a result of all of the brotherhood tests and adept tests that he went through. All of these things, again, had to do with preparation. It wasn't just a situation where he was lollygagging around. He literally was on the manifest to give his people the truth. So we encourage our family, like I said, to really tap into, what it is that we getting ready to bring forth. We have grand intent to uplift our people, and expand the consciousness, so to speak. You know, expand their consciousness. We want you to know exactly why it is that we are on this journey to become masterminds, just as those who came throughout the climes in the time before us. We have a grand work to do, and we have to be prepared, to demonstrate the work. So praise be to Allah for sending us a holy prophet, that was most definitely prepared, well saddled and equipped for the journey along the way. You know, it don't get no plainer than the truth. So we just say, like I said, more be on point and be ready because we getting ready to go into a grand degree of unfoldment. So let us move forward with our drawing and our subject matter too, by the way, to give our people some background on our chapter coming out of 34, 3 and 4, 7. We're dealing with Ali, the prophet finishing his task, must now go to the sons of men with love divine and peace on earth. This is what one was being prepared for. Listen, the work of Ali was done as far as when it came to dealing with self-mastery and knowing the self. Now you got to go teach the son of men based upon all the tests and the trial that he went through. And in the temple, he stood and said, the Son of Man has come to bring the light of life. In order for you to bring the light, you got to have the light. You see? And our ayat featured is all the brothers stood and said, this is a royal day for all hosts of the earth, for salvation has come to the children of men 6 times before the bar, 6 times a conqueror. You see? And basically, there was one among, this brotherhood. He said, well, brother man, most excellent of men, and all the temple tests you have won out. Upon your brow, I placed this diadem. And in the great assembly of all the world and heaven, you are the mastermind of all. Man. Then he went on, no man can do no more, but Allah himself will speak and confirm your title. Not man, Allah is going to confirm the title. He said, go your way teach peace on earth and goodwill to man. And while the hierophant yet spoke, the temple bells rang out in love, and the Logos journeyed on his way a conqueror. So now he showed enough the circle self made manifest in human flesh. The one out in all his tests, got his diadem, his head dress on, that head is wrapped in divine wisdom, you know, and this one is standing before the grand assembly of the world and in heaven, and he the mastermind of all. Oh man, this is a powerful demonstration. What is the significance of this particular drawing on where one becomes a conqueror? What was it that had to be conquered? And if one conquers, then this conquering actually brings about strength in one. Praise be to Allah. All of us must demonstrate this same measure, family. All of us must demonstrate this same measure. In fact, I want to share my screen because y'all already know I always throw a lot of collages on the manifest, to give our people insight, and really get them to thinking, because we know signs and symbols of a conscious mind and men and women of understanding. So we always want to make sure that our people can get a grand degree of understanding when we put these measures out here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Many of you, if you're on my page, you've seen what I'm getting ready to show you. But I want to go into this particular drawing real quick because it's going to lay a foundation for where I'm going. If you can see my screen sharing here, there was a picture I posted early this morning. I think it was about 4 o'clock. And it states El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, Egyptian adept exalter of the Moorish scimitar. And why is it that the prophet had to exalt the scimitar? If those who are familiar with the prophet and his dress, his royal garb that he featured, that you actually can see him with on now, and there's a star on his sash, and up under that star there are 2 letters. Those letters are M and A. Now this symbol, which is actually a symbol that was modernized, and it was modernized by certain groups that was on the manifest prior to the prophet coming on the manifest. But however, they came up with a symbol that's similar to the symbol that the prophet had. But we know the prophet symbol actually came from, Kemet pretty much. We can see it at the top of the screen, where it actually states the Egyptian adept book of the hidden chambers. And if you look at the top in this definition, I'm gonna blow it up a little bit. For those who don't know, we have what we call the kafesh. Some of us already do, but ain't nothing wrong with using the hammer of repetition and going over this truth. This is a definition that comes from E. Wallace Budge, demonstration. And we know that this kafesh, is an express determinative, as they like to call it. We call them anaglyphs. But if you look, there's an expression of the Amduat here, and you can see the deity, a netter, sitting here, and above, or rather in front, you can see a leg of, an ox. Some people call it, the leg of the bear. It's also known as the Big Dipper. But then beneath that, you see a star there. This is known as the kafesh. What is the kafesh? If you look closely, it's kind of cropped out a little bit. They also say sword. And you also see a symbol of a sword. The kafesh, as they call it in Kemet. Also, what you find as well is you can see elements that pretty much make up our flag that we have. We see the flag right here. The flag represents nature. But then we see, the scimitar, as they call it, and star. We see it right here. And a flag, all that there in this definition. And they refer to this as the constellation of the scimitar. Now we know there's a constellation that is in the cosmos, but we know man is the microcosm of the macrocosm. So there's also a constellation above your neck. And there is a corresponding principle of the scimitar and star, or the Big Dipper rotating around the North Star, so to speak. And there is a measure where we can actually find this in the science as it relates to the brain. There's a book known as Awaken the Healing Light, and they depict this. The Big Dipper rotating around, the consciousness of the God man, where one sits in meditation. You see? So we were given a scimitar of consciousness, not only so that we become able to stand in defense, but mainly conquer and tame the lower self. That's the purpose of the scimitar of consciousness. So that's why Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought this symbol back to us. And we've seen various different forms of the symbol that have been used, in his organization, MST of A, some, where one changed colors, put things there that wasn't supposed to be there, and so forth and so on. But what we can all agree upon is that the scimitar, the prophet, has always been exalted above the star. That's why we call him the exalter of the Moor scimitar. Even when you look at this symbol that is used by many occult groups, and they actually call this the tetragrammaton. They like to give credit to Elepius Levi, for this symbol, but he received the knowledge of this symbol pretty much from a source that was there prior to him coming forth. It was also known as the Amani Padme Hum, which is a India source. The Amani Padme Hum, is the same symbol the way you see it, but if you notice, the scimitar is beneath the star. The star is symbolic to man and woman in their higher seat of consciousness. But if you look at this scimitar, the scimitar has two letters, that are running off of, the title tetragrammaton. You see tetragrammaton, and you see the M and the A. And if you look, this M and A is actually beneath the star on the prophet's sash as well. But if you were to raise, the M and A above the star, and the scimitar would have to be raised as well, then you would have the symbol scimitar above the star. There's science dealing with this, because if you look closely, there's the caduceus, two serpents, and you have the winged deity, and these two serpents cross over, and they have 7 points that become known as chakras, or the scientific name they use are ganglionic centers. But this scimitar would be at the base, of the spine, so to speak, and they have, even in the scientific terminology, look it up, the scimitar sacrum. The scimitar sacrum, this is where what we call the Kundalini energy is said to be stored at the base of the spine. until one is uplifted and enlightened. It's a powerful demonstration. Let's just say that. So we can see the symbolism, that is before us, but the prophet was the one who raised the scimitar back to its rightful position. And all this represents, if we really look at it, if the rightful position of the scimitar was above the star, as you seen earlier when I showed it to you, in the Kafesh, if you could understand this, then you see that it goes beneath the star by these other groups, and then the prophet brought it back again above the star. Then this is a cycle that is taking place, of it rotating. And the scimitar is a symbol of justice. The scimitar is a symbol of justice. Now, I don't know about nobody else, but in order to become a conqueror, you got to have some justice in you. So I made a statement in reference to this demonstration. We done seen people try to remix the symbol and everything on numerous occasions, and our chairman brought it back to us in our flag because they wanted to hide it from you, many of our people, and say, oh, this is the adept zone. Everybody don't supposed to have it. That was until we came, and got to telling everything. So I made a statement in this post. I said, what our holy prophet did, we must all do. Unsheath your scimitars, Moors, as swift angels. For every brotherhood test must be passed before you are raised to the degree of cherubim and exalted in your senior course onto the degree of seraphim as conquerors. For this is our purpose concerning the chemistry of mortal life, the ministry of death, and the mystery of deific life. So more we be. You see, this is our purpose, the chemistry of mortal life. As long as we're on the plane of things made manifest, we will have to go through cycles. We will have to unfold. This is the chemistry of mortal life. And then in the course of that, as we move forward, there's going to come a time where we are confronted by the ministry of death. Now, this don't necessarily mean that you got to leave the body, but you may see someone that is close to you that transition, where you have to deal with the ministry of death and what it entails and so forth and so on. And that's why we had to go through the previous chapter before this one, dealing with the chamber of the dead and so forth and so on. In the mystery of deific life, so more we be. What is the mystery of deific life? It is a point where one has reached the pinnacle of wisdom and where one has recognized the true expression of what it means to demonstrate, that deific tie, that deific will. So these are 3 degrees, and these are practical applications that we go through as long as we live. It's not man taking you through these degrees, but the great God Allah is guiding you. We've shown you various different charts, that deal with the cycle of life and the cycle of man based upon the 7. Y'all been seeing it. We've been putting it out there. We ain't hiding nothing from our people. So the prophet knew what he was bringing back to our people. He wasn't bringing you Western Freemason. He wasn't bringing you Western occultism. He took back what was rightfully ours so that we may come into the consciousness, of the service that we are to offer to fallen humanity. So the true Egyptian adept book of the hidden chambers is really above your neck. It's really you. We too must, as El Haj Sharif Abdul Ali, our holy prophet, Egyptian adept, exalted the Moorish scimitar. As he exalted his scimitar, we must exalt ours. And that again goes back to the concept, of the scimitar sacrum and the kundalini, because the serpent is also, in certain aspects, considered. The serpent is also considered sometimes symbolic to the scimitar as well. So this is a powerful demonstration, family. We can't make this up. How is it that we come to this particular point? We can prove everything that we say with primary source materials. We can prove it if you were to just look at the Big Dipper. Do your research on it. Like I said, we have shown our people these things time and time again, so that they can get some insight. We don't just put pictures up here, that they just look pretty. All of these charts are observable, so to speak, so that one may be able to recall how these things relate to us. I got another one right here. And I put this one out on our chairman's manifestation day, which is very important. And it's telling you about a path. A lot of people like to give credit to our beloved brother, Pastor Beverly Randolph, as they call him, because he spoke in the semblance about a group known as the Ansoretic priesthood of Moors. But he didn't go that far with his knowledge as far as going into the expose, and the real breakdown of who the Moors was. So it took our prophet who came, behind this measure to let you know who these people really were. Because this Ansoretic priesthood wasn't created by Beverly. They existed prior to him. And it is the same priesthood that was on the manifest during the time of the prophet when he went into ancient Kemet, to be initiated into his mission. And it goes on, it states, keeper of the Ansoretic mysteries of the Hashemite Moors of ancient Asia, unified mystery stream. Pastor Beverly, Randolph may have been familiar with and even been initiated, into the Sufi Brotherhood, which is also a Kemetic stream. However, he was not the one that was to be the chief protector of this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. How do we know this? Because if we go further into it, over here, you see the streams come through first ancient Kemet, Egypt. You heard me talk about these things. Our Moorish title, Moor, can be traced back to Kemet. We already know this, all the way back to Amun Ra. But the key of life, the is a symbol, that represent that which represents the key to civilization. Is not life or life-giving lessons the key to civilization? In ancient Kemet, we find the mysteries of Osar. Some people say Osiris, for lack of better words, and those who are not familiar. And there's known as the mysteries of Osar, which are the greater mysteries. And they say Auset, the mysteries, are the lesser mysteries. But there's really no distinction when it comes to the ancestors. It's just wisdom. The mystery of deific life brings wisdom. What wisdom? The Sabaeat wisdom teachings of the ancient Kemites. We have inherited a portion of that through the lineage of the Sabians that are mentioned in the Quran. These are our ancestors. At the root of Sabian, you find the word Saba. It was the Sabians also who also utilized the scimitar to bring in civilization. You see, there is a connection to also the solar atom, a mono, a manath, as they call it, initiatic temples. You know, this is dealing with the oneness of the creator, the solar atom monarch. It started in ancient Kemet. I just did a video on that recently too, you know, and highlighted the term Kinti Neteru, the foremost of the gods, which is really the Kalima Shahada, a declaration of faith as expressed through the line of ancient Kemet, way before Muhammad had come on the manifest and said, La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah. In ancient Kemet, you know, Kinti Neteru had already been proclaimed by Akhenaten, Pharaoh Amenhotep IV. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about a stream of the Ansoretic mysteries of the Hashemite Moors of ancient Asia. We're going to feature some of this, but I'm going to show you how these things are veiled. The Hashemite lineage is not the Jordanian expression of that lineage that you think about when you think about the Hashemites. The Hashemites actually have a Cushite origin, you know, and then when we come into the modern time, it's actually referring to what we call the Alawites, the Alawite dynasty. You know, those who came through the lineage of the daughter of Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Fatima, you know, and then you had Ali. We have a connection that traces back from two aspects, back to Muhammad himself, whether we know it or not. But that's neither here nor there. You know, it states Muhammadan light, the covenant of Hashem, the bloodline of sovereign, the house of the prophet. And Alabait is what they like to call it in the Orthodox world of Islam. So when you hear these mysteries as we bring them from Kemet and we deal with, you know, Islam as it should be dealt with, we are giving you the keys to civilization. So you know exactly where you come from, spiritually, mentally, and physically. The Ansoretic Brotherhood, again, that is mentioned here, also goes into a connection of the Alawite dynasty. Look it up. Do the deep research. Gnostic cosmology, wine allegory, so to speak, the hidden Imam. We talk about the 12 Imam, the Mahdi, reincarnation cycles, secret rites, and initiation. All of that, and then some is spoken of in our Moorish Holy Quran. Then we have the Moors of Asia Major, and that basically deals with Asia as it includes an expansion of the world. And the symbol here, as you can see, that there are symbols that go all the way down through it from if you're looking at what's being shared, you see the crescent, you see the lamp and the flame. We see the anchor, you know, which is synonymous with even maritime law. You know, the divine harbor. You know, a harbor is a safe haven, a place of safety. Asiatic identity, nationhood in God, Moorish science, and esotericism. You know, there is a lane for all of this, but we demonstrate it in the Moorish way. So more we be. We ain't trying to be nobody else. We being ourselves. And last but not least, coming through all of these chains of wisdom, so to speak, is the unified mystery stream. See, this is where one comes into a clear conception of the work they've been called to do, understanding deific life and deific will. And that deific life and deific will, or deific tie, has to do with Tawheed, divine unity, sovereign nation of God, eternal gnosis. We know about that gnosis because our Moorish Holy Quran speaks of that as well. As we can see, we see our prophet, standing in spirit. We see our chairman in spirit, the way that we put this together. We can see some of the books where they had taken some of this wisdom and tried to remix it from our ancestors. So what we did is we superimposed our flag within the star that was being encircled by the serpent that was devouring its tail. That's a symbol of cyclism as well. So justice is what's taking course in the cycle. The more we know, the more we grow. Every time someone comes to our people to uplift them, well, they grow. Mastermind come throughout declines in time. We already know this. So this is why it's necessary for one to be prepared for the mission when they come forth to teach a people. And all of these prophets and divine warners had to be tried. They had to be taught, prepared rigorously, so to speak, before they could really reach out to a people. Again, signs and symbols of a conscious mind and men and women of understanding. There's a drawing. All of these symbols come from something. We didn't just make it up. Even, and this is the ancient order of the pyramid. As you can see the triangle, and you see the in the center of the triangle, right? So in our measure, we have a similar symbol. It came from somewhere. Most of the things that we have are in stone, and they are pointing back so that our people can get a grand drawing. We had the other symbol here where we were dealing with the paths of the knowledge that one gains. In Islam, they talk about the Sharia, right? This is basic law. This is what governs the carnal man. Then when you get into what we call tariqat, then man is being brought into the realm of angelic law, so to speak. Tariqat. Look these words up. Hakikat is where one comes into the reality. And this is where one becomes a protector by the knowledge that they have. So this is the concept of cherubim. This is where the conquering degree comes at. And then at last, one in the cycle, goes into marifat. And marifat is gnosis, divine wisdom. That's what we talking about. We are protectors of this knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We don't make this stuff up. All of this stuff has meaning. It is the swift angel that is Al-Insan. Look Al-Insan up in the Grand Quran. Insan means man. Man is referred to, as Al-Insan. So one comes out of this state in their unfoldment, and they come through the realms of what is known as Malkut by the Sufis. Nasut, Jabarut, Lahut, Hahut, third heaven is what we call it. Then they go back to the source of what is known as the Zat. The Zat in the middle of the Bat is what they call it. And it is the spirit of the Almighty God Allah. So one goes into the concept of what the adept degree really represent. and you understand, why you go through a 360 degree by 90-degree quadratic circle. We move mathematically according to angles, just like angels, so to speak, because life is based upon sacred geometry. You see? And all of this wisdom and then some represents the wisdom that has been brought to us by a holy prophet, being the Egyptian adept master. For those who can see the Senhija Moors here, and I always held the position that this is our prophet right here. You see the gear that he has on. We seen the Prince of Peace, and a lot of the Moors actually wear the same gear. We shown our people the comparison between, the professor drew Egyptian adept student picture, and kind of when you blow it up, it distorts a little bit, but you can see the features of the prophet. But there's signs and symbols, that represent the degree of the conqueror. It represents the degree of a conqueror. Our prophet was really an Egyptian adept master. We don't just say this to say it and make it sound good. You can see it by the proof of his work and what he has produced. He has produced a grand nation, Moorish king. But what we have done is we have done the research and our due diligence to show our people, who our prophet really is. I love when I seen the movie Black Panther and they had the sister Angela Bassett on there, and she often said to her seeds, show them who you are. So that's what we doing. We showing our people who we are. We know who we are. We can go into the DNA test and everything else with it. And it attests to who we are. I know at least mine do. Straight up out of the Moorish paradigm we come. So you've seen a lot of these symbols and symbolism, and a lot of our people had no idea what it is that they're looking at. You heard me talking about the Big Dipper as it rotates around really the crown chakra here. That's what it means to be taken up above the sun, moon, and stars and around the almighty throne of Allah. We seen our prophet demonstrate a whole lot of gestures such as these. We see the spirit of the scimitar. Ma'adik, whether we dealing with the husbandman, we dealing with, and that's the planet of the sea, are we dealing with the mother virtues and harmonies of life? There is no gender in spirit. The scimitar represents the spirit of consciousness. So men and women, alike wield this scimitar. We can't make this stuff up, family. We showing it to you. Look at it. Look at that. Look at all of this symbolism. This one is meditating. Flames lit up as candles within the body, the 7 candles that are mentioned, throughout many doctrines. We're going to get into this in a minute now. We're just giving you the symbol so you can have the vision when I start to speak. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Look, and this is from the book Awakening Hidden Light. Tap into and absorb the original source of all power. This is a Taoist source demonstrating the same science that we talk about, but it comes from Kemet. Learn to absorb and transform this force directly rather than depending entirely on plants, animals, motions of the earth to provide energy. After developing the energy body and extending it to space, into space, they learn to access energies that are pure and more highly refined. See, this is how you become the conqueror. And this is what comes out of becoming the conqueror. This means that humans are not necessarily restricted by the Earth's orbit. You ain't restricted by this Earth orbit or the body, unless you think that the Earth and its orbit and its power extend beyond that of one who created it. Look at the Big Dipper symbolically rotating within and around as consciousness, scimitar consciousness. This is the true gate of God. We can't make this stuff up. Also known as the constellation of Musketti. And it's not strange happening. The constellation of the thigh, celestial apparatus of executive rulers. What is the significance of this right here? This celestial apparatus of executive ruler. Everything we put out here, family, is a portion of understanding that's connected through a golden cord of love divine. We went into the math and we did all the math here. And guess what we end up coming up with? 4 letters, which represented Keti. I ain't gonna go into all that right now. I done did it before. You can go into some of my, old measures on this, but the mathematics were precise. No matter how they went from the tens up to the hundreds, into the thousand and so forth and so on. But the mathematics brought up these 4 letters, Keti, which not only deal with what we call the gate of God, also known as Mount Meru, also known as Meta. You got to understand it because we're finna talk about these heights. This is really what we call the 7th heaven, Mesura, Misra, or Misro, or Mazaro, or Mitzra, Mitzrayim. Dealing with the etymology, all of these represent a peak of consciousness. We can't make this stuff up, family. That's what, if you're looking at the picture now, this is what the original scimitar looked like. Very similar to the leg of the ox that is in front of the netter with the star there. So originally the scimitar was exalted above the star. But in its cycle, then when it went beneath the star, it had to come back round again anyway. So it was the prophet who brought it back and exalted it to its rightful position. Because justice took its course and it's taken its course. The scimitar alone, we know, is composed of 3 portions. The bearer, the guard, and the blade. The bearer represents Allah. That's that most trustworthy handhold that never breaks. The guard is symbolic to the swift angels. The silent brotherhood. Then the convex, the blade, represents the prophets, spirit, master teachers, divine warners. We can't make it up, but you're talking about the gate of God. It's even referred to at times as the mouth of God. So if this is symbolic to a celestial apparatus of executive rulers, we showing you, it is said that we are people of the stars. We are star people. Even in the concept of science, they speak of panspermia. And they talk about conscious beings who purposely seeded the universe, and those seeds made their way to this earth. And that's what gave birth, to us. We find similar stories in the teachings of the Atrahasis, are those that speak about the Anunnaki. Come on, man, we can't make this stuff up. Everything that you see, when you look at the 7, what is the significance of the 7? Well, when you deal with the Big Dipper, it's 7 stars that make up that. See how they encapsulated those of you that are looking? The Big Dipper within the leg of the ox right here. and then you exalt that above the star. The kafesh is what they call it. This is scimitar above the star in ancient Kemet. So for those of you who were thinking that the scimitar above the star was something Masonic or dealing with the Shriner's degree, think again. This symbol is older than the so-called mystics of the shrine that has been created by the European in the West. We don't say that they're type their little organization. We telling you the truth. I'm your daddy. That's why they say my son. But that's a whole nother degree. And then they become widowed. Our Moorish Holy Quran talk about that widowed son as well too. But it ain't got nothing to do with Western Freemason. So the 7 was manifested. So this is why you see our science, when we connect to our Grand National Seal, which represents the oneness of the nation. Salvation, our God unity. That's the unity. The great God Allah breathed forth in the beginning. The 7 Elohim come on to manifest. Created faith. Same way. And as we go through these various different phases, our Grand National Seal, from that to the Grand National Emblem, now we see a birth that takes place, a symbolic birth, salvation. You see a star within a crescent, which is synonymous to the concept of what we call reentry. This salvation represents our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the love thought that was made manifest in human flesh. And don't you come to me talking about, well, ain't no prophet coming after now. No, when we say a prophet is a thought of Allah made manifested in human flesh, we know you can't stop Allah from thinking. So stop it. If a prophet is a thought of Allah made manifested in human flesh, and you don't want to accept Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that's you basically bold. Because according to our definition, you would have to stop Allah from thinking. And you can't do that. Why? Because this is where the wisdom continues to come. This is where the cycles are manifest. This is why I say when you get out of line with love, truth, peace, and some freedom, then justice is going to take its course. Powerful. So we find out through the math, when we added everything up in the chart that we had there, that the fulfillment age of man was on the manifest here. Keti. We in the cycle age of Shunetta. It's where all the wisdom gonna be revealed at. And this thing is so powerful, family. As we go into this and we understand the concept of Keti, Keti actually represents a ruler. And Keti also represents, noblemen, and so forth and so on. That's what Keti is defined as in Kemet. And that's why we say that this is the celestial apparatus of executive rulers. There's a scimitar rotating up there in them heavens. Not only in the heavens, but there's a scimitar rotating in your consciousness. All you got to do is pay attention. There it is again. And they call this the Kunlun Mountain in Awakening the Hidden Light. How can you have such symbolism that's being on the manifest and surfacing all over the place? See, that's the gift of the understanding that the great God Allah gave me, the ability to basically show you the cohesion of these things. To show you that the same story has been told around the world. Look at that. The pineal has a close connection to the North Pole and North Star. Well, what's rotating up there in your brain? What's rotating around your pineal gland? Divinity and consciousness. What's up there in Mount Kunlun? Oh, did I say Mount Meru? So this is the wisdom where one becomes a conqueror. Look at what it says. And this is called connecting the crown to the mid eyebrow, right? And it's showing again that kafesh rotating, within the consciousness and even outside. It says, beware of the crown in the mid brow point. Inhale as though you were breathing in through your crown point. Instead of breathing through your nose, try breathing through that crown chakra. Draw the violet light of the North Star, purple, huh? It's in the family, with the breath to the crystal room and exhale through the mid eyebrow point. It's showing you the methodology on how to open the consciousness. Be aware of the golden light in front of you, the energy of the mountains, oceans, lakes, waterfalls, forests. Breathe that energy in through the mid eyebrow point to the crystal room. Exhale through the crown. Repeat these last two steps 3 to 9 times. And then rest. Feel the line of connection between the crown point and the mid eyebrow point. So in other words, that crown chakra and the pineal gland, intuition and telepathy, the two that held when everything else failed, that's up under that. It makes sense now when you understand how you're made, how fearlessly and marvelously you're made. We can't make this up. So when we put these things out here, like I say, it ain't just meant to look pretty. These are really charts that if you study them, they can be utilized in assisting you in your unfoldment. That's why we put it in your face all the time. That's what we talking about. That's what all the noise about. You see? So those of you that are seeing this and observing what it is that we are showing you, man, we showing you that our prophet was truly a prophet. He didn't play. So our duty here is to bring the science to our people and wake them up. You don't believe it's ours, and I showed it time and time again. Look at that. We got a picture of a Moor moving through the desert, and we showed you the various flags, and we gave you the year. We gave you the modern look of them and how they looked during the ancient time. We gave you the years and what symbols first were added into the flags. Scimitars first, people thought them were scissors, but them scimitars. And then the star was added. These elements and ingredients were added. These are all Moorish flags right here. And these are the same flag. Like I said, this is the more modern expression of them, but these are the actual, flags. First banner was white, pure white as snow. Then the scimitar came, and then the star. And then you wonder why our flag has a scimitar and a star in it. We can't make this stuff up, family. It's all over the place. There's nobody top side planet mud, that can debunk this. This ain't something we made up. We just pointing it out. Look at it. Look at it. Come on, man. How much? I mean, you can see. I'm going to open that one back up again for the ones that's watching. See that right there? You can literally see the Neteru in the Book of Hidden Chambers. And they got stars and scimitars in their hand. So like I said, this stuff predate all these other groups. Our prophet just brought it back like it was. What did it state here dealing with the celestial origins of the scimitar and the star in our Moorish Holy Quran? The sage Mengstis stated The wheel of time is turned once more. There go that cycle. The race is on a higher plane of thought. The garments that our fathers wore have given out. The cherubim have woven a celestial cloth and have placed it in our hands. And we know the hand is symbolic to the mind. And we must make for men new gods. And that's why we manifested the banner with that 5-pointed open green star in the center, ingredients that the prophet had given to us. That's why we did it like that. Come on, man. We can't make this stuff up. We got to learn to honor that which is ours and stop giving credit to other people. Like I'm talking about, you can see it all over the place. How does it become a celestial apparatus? Look very closely here. If you look at these boats, you see the Amduat. They're in the Amduat. You see all them stars up there? So they're moving through the Amduat. But look at the shape of the boat. All of the boats of ancient Kemet that are depicted are often shape of scimitar. We even see the 3-step ladder up in there. Look at that. We see the 3-step ladder up in there. We see the eye of Ra, which means that one is moving through a state of elevation. And how many people do we see in the boat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my goodness. 5 principals, huh? 5 principals riding in a scimitar boat through the heavens. Like I'm showing you in the teachings of Taoism, a Taoism, as some people say. I'm showing you in the teachings of Kemet. The same symbols are present, and they all have to do with the same thing, elevating one's consciousness into the heavenly realm. That's the grand drawing, family. Like I said, we cannot make this stuff up. We can't lie to you. We giving you the truth. We giving you the truth. Everything that we have can be found and traced back to a source. We can't make it up. Now, how you gonna get rid of all of that evidence? How you gonna do it? How you gonna get rid of all that evidence? Muslims. This is very important right here, because I'm getting ready to go over something real quick. Since we're talking about the 7 and going through the journey on the 7. I have a picture here where I was speaking on Muhammad. And I say Muhammad rode a sphinx through the 7 heavens. The angel Jibril was the commissioned adept and swift angel who assisted him in his spiritual initiation. We're going to go into that. Since we're talking about standing 6 times before the bar, and becoming a conqueror. They have a depiction of Muhammad going through the heavens on a sphinx. Watch this. Just give me 1 second. All of our science has a base to it, family. All of our science. We don't just make this stuff up. But we have to know what it is we're looking at. Our people been seeing these symbols for years and still don't know what they mean. They have no idea as to what these symbols entail. All they know where the prophet brought it. He says the adept symbol. Let's go right here real quick. And we're going to go deeper into my measure. This is years of research, family. We done proved it. Now you can take it or leave it. It's on you. I have a drawing here, and at the top it states a power that exerts itself for the individual at the will of its user. And there are 2 crowns that I'm featuring here. One crown has a scimitar above it. Another crown has a star above it. Well, these are the crowns of the God man and the God woman in the pantheon of the Orisha. So I seen a similarity between Alawata Allah and Abatala that you hear the Orisha speak of. Abatala is often said to be, the white deity of purity. So we say white mean purity, purity mean God, God mean the rule of the land. We know who Alawata Allah is, Abatala. See the connection? And then we had Ish and Isha. This is the crown of Ashe and Eshu. Ish and Isha, the life force of causes. That's what Ish and Eshu represents in the Orisha. The story is being told through all these adept books of the hidden chambers, all over the place, even Moorish. Hence the combination of the words Mu and Orisha, Moorish, right? And then you have all of the 7 powers of the Orishas, synonymous with that of the Elohim. So when people be fighting over these stories and trying to exalt other portions above other portions, they look crazy out here. They look real crazy out here. The same story is being told. What's the problem? They all represent the same thing. And now you know how to become a conqueror. Now that you know how to exercise the saving power. They even had a demonstration here in the colonies. It's still there too. Where they put the scimitar beneath the star. Some group of Moors did it, and then you got some groups that actually adopted that to make up their own concept of a flag after they seen us come forward with the Moorish flag. It's a literal place right here. Look, above the threshold of the door, above the window, above the threshold of the door. And when you go into the symbols as your home in on them, yeah, somebody was trying to be like the European here, if you ask me. Putting the scimitar beneath the star. You see, but we raise the scimitar. That's what we here to do. Now that you're conscious, you see. So yeah, like I said, we can't make this up. And now that we know that a lot of this has to do with, consciousness and being conscious. And we talked about the initiation of Muhammad. I want to touch on this because all of the prophets went through their degrees of the 7. We can't make this up. I'm finna go in here right now. Watch this. Give me a second. Now that we done took y'all on that journey, you can't get around it. I'm telling you now. It's just too much evidence all over the place. Once you come into the realization of that, family, you come into the realization of your story has been given to you. It has been remixed. You have had many people try to repackage it and sell it to you. And our people eat that stuff right there up. But then when we bring stuff to them to show them that the science belongs to them, all the while, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear nothing that got to do with that which put them in a position of authority, or elevate them in a state of consciousness to where they can be the conquerors. Now, we've been always looked at as the conquered. You see, somebody was always conquering us. So when we try to tell them, no, you the conqueror, they can't see themselves as a slave. Don't know nothing but being a slave. A so-called Negro don't know nothing but being a Negro. And so I put many different posts to show our people how the scimitar is indigenous to Islam. It's a universal symbol amongst all Muslims, scimitar and the star. We can't make this up. These are actually flags of nations that got the scimitar and the star in it. But what really removes all doubt, because we done put this stuff out here so many times before. Look at this. This one right here just shows you the journey of the prophet. The symbols, scimitar and star, represent the journey of the prophet from Saudi Arabia back to Morocco. What's in the flag of Saudi Arabia? Scimitar. What's in the flag of Morocco? Star. Two ingredients that are in the Moorish flag. Huh? And I got our chairman sitting up there in this collage. He say, who made you? You know, he looking at, you know, this particular one here, you know, from Morocco, the sons of those who actually knew the prophet. You know, what's the modern name for Mobite? That's what he asked you, boy, from Morocco. Then he asked, you know, the other seed of Saudi Arabia, who guarding the holy city of Mecca to keep the unbelievers away? Huh? Yeah. So, man, this is a powerful demonstration, family. I know what my prophet brought me. I know exactly what he brought me. But do you know? That's the question. It don't matter what I know about me. I know. Do you know what was brought to you, family? You know, so we know well what it is that we represent, well what it is, and you didn't see damn time in there. I gave no credit to no European or Western Freemason. Raise your consciousness, raise your scimitar, and be who you are. So now I talked about going into Muhammad's initiation. Listen, this is the story of Muhammad's initiation that has been veiled in allegory, and it's dealing with what we call Sadrat al-Muntaha in the Sufi tradition, the lote tree of the furthest boundary. I'm showing you Muhammad's initiation through the 7 adept degrees and what he ended up. It says the prophet and Gabriel traveled once more until they reached the absolute limit of the created intellect. This is after he went through the 7 levels, you know, and met all the prophets. And he went to Sadrat al-Muntaha, the lote tree of the furthest boundary. Do not they refer to your crown chakra as the 1,000-petal lotus? What do you think the lote tree of the furthest boundary is? A boundary, rather. You don't went far as you can go. They saw nothing which the tongue could describe. Can't be told through words, huh? The effect of the sight they beheld on the prophet is a secret which took place in his heart. A sound came to them from above which dissipated some of the prophet's astonishment. At that time he saw a large tree which does not resemble any of the trees of paradise, a tree without description, covering all the paradises, the heavens. See, this is dealing with concepts of the tree of life and everything. Heavens and universes. The trunk of the tree was a huge angel at the trunk of it, known as Samrafil. The prophet could see nothing else besides it. It grew from an infinite, unimaginable, indescribable ocean of musk. The tree had an infinite number of branches, created from a heavenly element that has no name in the created language. The distance between one branch and another was 500,000 light years. On every branch, there was an infinite number of leaves. If all the creative universes were placed on a single one of these leaves, they would disappear. Woo! Like an atom disappears inside the ocean of water. On every leaf sat a huge angel in a multicolored light. On his head was a crown of light. and in his hand a staff of light. Written on their forehead was the inscription, "We are the inhabitants of the Lot tree." Their praise was, "Praise be to God who has no end." Their names are the Saruphian or Seraphim. Oh my God. Oh my God. So when I tell you that you move from being swift angel into being cherubim, and from cherubim into being seraphim, what does the cherubim do? Guard the way toward the holy city so that the night thoughts can't enter. But the seraphim is the spirit of the Almighty God Allah. So their names, these are the seraphim. This is where they at, the Lot tree of the utmost bounty, up above the sun, moon, and stars around the Almighty throne of Allah. Seven heaven, family, the secret ones, because they are Islam Grand Secretary of State.
Pardon the cell phone. Were you showing us this on the StreamYard?
Well, I was just reading it from the document because it wasn't nothing to really show. No, you're all right. You're all right. It wasn't really. No, all is well. It wasn't pictures in it, so I'm really reading from the document. And but it's dealing with Sadrat al-Muntaha. But what I can do, since I'm reading from it, and that way the people can look at this stuff, they can get the words. I'm gonna switch the screen real quick. Okay, because I know I was showing the other stuff, and I'm gonna go ahead and share this per the request of my Grand Secretary of State. Let me see here. And this is a document. You can find it. Like I said, it deals more with Prophet Muhammad's journey through the seven heavens, going to the Lot tree of the utmost boundary. Okay, there we go. Okay, can you see that now, Grand Secretary of State?
Yes, sir. Gratitude.
Islamism. So yeah, like it says basically, we are the inhabitants of the Lot tree. And their praise was, "Praise be to God who has no end," and their names are the Seraphian or the Seraphim, the secret ones, because they are created from the absolute secret of their Lord. From the trunk of the tree, 4 absolute springs issue. The first was a pure, transparent crystal water, and the second was a river of white milk, and the third was a river of pleasurable, untarnished wine that elevates without abasing. It says the fourth was a river of pure honey mixed with gold. Inside the trunk was the prayer niche of Gabriel, and his constant words of praise are Allahu Akbar, God is great. For those who know about the Sufis, they do chants, incantations, so to speak, in reference to Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, and so forth and so on. If you say these things so much in time, you open up the portals, of divinity to have your dua accepted. But it says, to which the reply always came from above, Ana Akbar, I am greater. Who is talking about they greater? Allah is the greatest. He say, Allah, God is great. Ana Akbar is I am greater. Ana Akbar, I am greater. Even when we look at the concept of cherubim, and it says the cherubim is there with the scimitar, then that means seraphim represents the spirit of Almighty God Allah. That's the star. So that scimitar and star that's being spoken of right there in chapter 1, creation and fall of man. But it says Gabriel entered his prayer niche and he called for prayer, and all the seraphim stood in rows, and the prophet led them in prayer. This is Muhammad up here now. We talking about Muhammad al-Nur, Muhammad the light, the real prophet Muhammad. In Sunni Camille, as they call him in Sufi teaching. The prayer finished, and all the seraphim were ordered to give their greetings to the prophet, one after the other. After this, a great angel came out from behind Gabriel's prayer niche and asked the prophet to approach. The prophet and Gabriel entered the trunk of the tree and reached in a glance the insight of creation. At the top of the tree, they saw Adam, Eve, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and all the other prophets whom they had just visited. Remember, he went through every heaven and every level. He spoke to these prophets. Go look at the story. With them, they saw all their respective nations, sitting with them in spirit together with those of the prophet's nation who had already left this world. All were sitting there together, happy, basking in love and beauty of their Lord's mercy and praising him. So this is like when we talk about, Yehoshua in the Moorish Holy Quran, and he was freed from the prison, and he was able to go in the plane of soul and sit with the exalted chiefs on high. That's what the Grand Quran called them, but we say the Grand Assembly. Some people like to call them ascended masters or whatever you want to call them. Nevertheless, they at the lote tree of the utmost bounty. So the lote tree carries the knowledge of all God's creation from the beginning of its sequence in time. See, this is what we talk about the Akashic records in the book of Allah's registry of remembrance. It's above your neck, right up there in your adept chamber. Whatever is created is part of it and contained in it. It was called the tree of the furthermost boundary because everything ends in it, and after it begins a new life. That's a cycle. And God decorated it with the light of his own essence. Oh man, when you got Allah's light is the light of the heavens and the earth. So say Surah 24, ayah 35 and 36. The heaven is the mind. The body is this earthbound body that we call Asia. Go look at a chart on the tree of life, and the lowest one is called Asia, the lowest Sephra. But anyway, it says it has three characteristics: a continuous shade of light extending over every creation, a continuous pleasure reaching everyone from the fruit of its branches, and continuous fragrance from its flowers send with the beauty of life of creation. We know about them sweet perfumes, smells that it talk about in chapter 1, right? But anyway, it says, then the prophet and Gabriel moved forward. A stern and severe angel appeared and covered the horizon before them. And Gabriel said, O prophet, this is the angel of death, Azrael. The angel of death said, welcome, O Muhammad, you who bear goodness. He dealing with that degree. Welcome to all the prophets and their nations. This is the place from which I gaze at the destinies of every person and seize the spirit of those whom I am commanded to bring to eternal life. The prophet asked, tell me how you take the souls of the dying. And the angel of death revealed to the prophet, when God orders me to take the spirit of a human being at the last hour of his life, the first hour of his afterlife, I send him my deputies who carry with them the smell of paradise and a branch from the tree of paradise, which they put between his eyes. And when that sweet smell reaches him, he catches a glimpse of it, of that heavenly branch, and his spirit is attracted and his soul begins to ascend to paradise until it reaches his throat. At that time, I descend from my place and I take his spirit with the greatest care, because God wants this moment to be easy on his servant. I then carry his soul to paradise. Right? And he said, on the way, whenever I pass by angels, then angels greet his soul and salute it. until it reaches the presence of its Lord. The angel, the thought of Allah made manifested in human flesh. Huh? God the Exalted says to that soul at the time, welcome to the good spirit which I created and placed in a good body. O my angels, write the upper layer of paradise as a reward for that person. Then angels take him up to paradise, where he will see what God has prepared for him, and he will be happy to stay there. However, God orders the spirit to go back to his body on earth, where he can see the people washing him, crying for him, and those who love him standing around him until they take the body to the grave. That is what we hear everybody saying. I done heard and spoke to many people that had out of body near death experiences, and they say that they was floating above their body. They could see the people crying over them. You know, I had a friend, he was in the Dismal Crips. He ended up coming home after 15 years and he went back, and I was told because he was actually shot, on the scene of the event that led him back to the Dismal Crips. And it was relayed. And last time I seen this when I was visiting another brother. And he said, I love you, brother. I say, I love you too. But that's the last time we seen each other. He got 30 years. But he was left on the scene of a crime. He was shot 5 times. They pronounced him dead. And basically, he could hear the people crying over him, and all that right there. Now, he's supposed to be gone. It went all the way down to the point where he was laid on the table. And they put the sheet over him. He was gone. And next thing you know, he rose up, scared the heck out of the people that was in there covering his body up because they thought he was gone. He was lifeless. And it was related that this one said that the Most High told him that I ain't ready for you yet. But they had done put the sheet over him. He gone. He out of there. And he came back. And now all he do is teach. That's a powerful measure, but it reminded me of this drawing right here when they were speaking of the description that so many of us have heard. We getting ready to open up in a minute, but we on the law's time. It says, there the sword says to him, welcome, O my beloved one. I was always yearning for you when you were above me. Now you are in me, and I will show you what I'm going to give to you. Immediately his grave will be enlarged beyond sight until the 2 angels of the grave come and ask him about his Lord and about his belief. He will give them the correct answers by Allah's permission. These are the stories that it said when Jibril came to teach Muhammad, his way of life, that, one would be asked particular questions, similar to like our 101s. But this the real deal because you stand in the presence of Allah. Who made you? You know what I mean? Who are your prophet? Stuff like that. But it says at that time they will open for him a door leading to paradise, and his spirit would go back upward to the same place where God first called him to his presence. I remember when death had separated us. I consoled myself with the thought of the beloved prophet. I said, all of us go on this way one day. Who does not die today, he will die tomorrow. Be happy, O my soul, because your Lord is waiting for you, and the beloved one is calling you. And Jibril moved forward another 500,000 light years, mounted on the Burak. And the Burak is basically that Sphinx that Muhammad was riding on, until they reached, that is connected to the name Barak. The Barak you all know. But it says until they reached the place where Jibril began to slow down. And the prophet said, oh, Jibril, why are you slowing down? Are you leaving me? Muhammad was ready to get back to the body. Jabril replied, I can't go further. The prophet said, Jabril, don't leave me alone. O Muhammad, Jabril said, now, or you now have to step down from the Barak and move to a place which no one has entered before you. So Jabril took him as far as he go. He couldn't go no further. At the moment, the Barak stopped and was unable to move further. The prophet stepped down and moved hesitantly. And Jabril said, O prophet, move further without fear. If I were to continue with you, I will be annihilated for the greatness of the light. Now, here's Muhammad that's able to go into the light. But Jabril couldn't go. And he made a light. So what that said about Muhammad? But it says, prophet moved and moved. And he saw Michael standing ahead of him, afraid and trembling. The light of his face was changing quickly from one color to another. And the prophet asked Michael, is this your station? Yes, Michael answered. And if I were to trespass it, I will be annihilated. But you go on and don't stop. And the prophet moved and moved. And then he found Israfil with his 4 huge wings, one of which covered his face to veil him from the light which came from the horizon of everything. The prophet asked him, is this your station, Israfil? Israfil said, yes. If I trespassed it, that light will burn me. But you move on and do not fear. Because it's fear, man, when you get to traveling, talking about you going up above the sun, moon, and star, around the almighty throne of Allah. Phantom forms get to flitting before you. But it says, and the prophet moved and moved, and he saw the spirit to whom God gave the power of earth and the heavens, from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. And from every cell of his there were faces with traits of subtle light, the number of which no one knows but God. You know how you get that mystic name and number? But this mystic name or this mystic number, only God knows. And from the each of which God creates an angel spirit which looks like the spirit whom he then takes to himself as spirit angels of divine presence. Every day, the spirit looks into hell 3 times because of the cool light of his angelic gaze. The fire of hell melts until it becomes as a rainbow. The spirit also looks into paradise 3 times every day and extends it divine light extends to it divine light which God gives him. If God gathered the tears of the eyes of the spirit, it would flood all the created universes to make Noah's flood seem like a drop gathered by a needle dipped into the ocean. This is the spirit whom God mentioned in the Quran. The day when the spirit and the angels rise, no one shall speak except with permission from his Lord. And the prophet said, O spirit, is this your station? The spirit replied, yes. If I trespass, I will be annihilated by the light which I'm receiving, O Muhammad. Move forward and do not be afraid. You are invited and you have permission. The prophet moved forward. God inspired his heart with the following discourse. I, the Lord, have veiled myself from the inhabitants of paradise, as I have veiled myself from the inhabitants of earth. As I veiled myself from their minds, I veiled myself from their vision. I am never in anything, and I am never away from anything. And the prophet then moved through one veil after another until he passed through 1,000 veils. Finally, he opened the veil of oneness. He found himself like a lamp suspended in the middle of divine air. And he saw a magnificent, great, unutterable matter. He then asked his Lord to give him firmness and strength. He felt that a drop of that presence was put on his tongue, and he found it cooler than ice and sweeter than honey. Nothing on earth and the 7 paradises tasted like it. With this drop, God put into the prophet's heart the knowledge of the first and the last and the heavenly and the earthly. All this was revealed to him in one instant, shorter than the fastest second. and he was ordered to move forward. As he moved, he found himself elevated on a throne that can never be described now or later. 3 additional drops were given to him, one on his shoulder consisting in majesty, and one in his heart consisting in mercy, and an additional one on his tongue which consisted in eloquence. Then a voice came from that presence which no created being had heard before. O Muhammad, I have made you the intercessor for everyone. At that moment, the prophet felt his mind enraptured and taken away to be replaced with an astonishing secret. He was placed in the fields of God's eternity in endlessness. I don't know about nobody else, but if you know in ancient Kemet, you got the fields of peace, referred to as Allah. But anyway, it says in the first, he found no beginning. In the second, he found no end. Then God revealed to him, my end is my beginning, and my beginning is my end. When you're dealing with the cycle of God. Then the prophet knew that all doors were absolutely closed except those that led to God, and that God cannot be described within the confine of a place and speech, and that God encompasses everywhere. He can't be circumscribed, people. This is the secret that no tongue can be stirred to express, no door open to reveal, and no answer can define. He is the guide to himself. He was the one that guided Muhammad to him, the Lord of his own description. He is the beauty of all beauty, and speech by which to describe himself belongs to him alone. O my God, creator in your infinity, do I stand amazed. In your ocean of unity, do I drown submerged. O God, at times you closet me in a familiar intimacy. At times you leave me without, veiled and strange, hidden in your sovereign majesty. Give me to drink the wine of your love, for only drunk from it, am I able to say, my Lord, let me see you. The prophet then looked on his right and saw nothing except his Lord. Then on his left and saw nothing except his Lord. Then to the front and to the back and above him, he saw nothing except his Lord. Y'all done heard our chairman say, I got your back, your top, your side. Yeah, this is right here. That's what he talking about. He seen the supreme reality everywhere he looked. It says he hated to leave that honored and blessed place, but God said, O Muhammad, you are a messenger to my servants, as all messengers. Now you got to think about the time when Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, when I was Muhammad. So we talking about Noble Drew Ali. If you stay here, you would never be able to communicate my message. Therefore, descend back to earth. See, angels ascend to get the lesson and come back with the blessing when they descend. Therefore, descend back to earth and communicate my message to my servants. Whenever you want to be in the same state as you are now, make your prayers, and I shall open this state for you. Telling me you're going to open it up, the gateway to heaven, you traveling. This is why the prophet said, prayer is the apple of my eyes, and he called it also our rest. The prophet was ordered to go back to earth, but he left the self in heaven and his spirit at the lote tree, and his heart was unutterable, divine presence, while his secret was left suspended without place. His self wondered, where's the heart? The heart wondered, where's the spirit? The spirit wondered, where's the secret? And the secret wondered, where's the spirit? And the spirit wondered, where's the secret? And the secret wondered where it was. And God revealed, O self of the prophet, I granted you the blessing and the forgiveness. And, O spirit, I granted you the mercy and the honor, O heart. I granted you the love and beauty, O secret, you have me. God then revealed to the prophet the order to recite. He is the one who sends blessings to you together with his angels in order to bring you out from darkness into light. Surah 33, Ayat 43. O Muhammad, I have ordered that the angels of all my heavens, those who created and those yet uncreated, I send blessings on you and my creation unceasingly with my own praise. I am your Lord, who said, my mercy has taken over my anger, and all my angels I have created for you human beings. And God ordered the prophet to descend with this angelic message back to the earth. So this is the end of this drawing. What we just witnessed is Muhammad going beyond the lote tree of the utmost boundary. And this was his senior course. So not only did he go through the seven heavens being initiated by Jibril, but he had to go into a senior course alone. In other words, we got to do the same thing. And this is what you got to be: a conqueror. After you stand 6 times before the bar, you got to be a conqueror. And then you can open up, and be able to go into these chambers. You see? Because that's what it's all about. Yahushua was in the chamber, self-mastery the whole time. He was in the adept chamber self. So that's what this is talking about. Make no mistake about it. You see, I hope I made it plain. So with that being said, we're going to open up the floor, so that we can hear
Islam
from our Moorish kin. Islam. All right, Brother Justice, you ready?
is praise Allah, and in due time I will be brief with my message. Praise Allah, honor to the Holy Prophet, no honor to you, National Sister Grand Chief of Studies of a great class tonight, honor to all of those who assist on the class, honor to the entire Act 1. As always, special honor to our National Grand Chief and our National Grand Chairman, Morris America, and time with the Nate Law Enforcement Officer, Sister of the Prophet, the Grand Body of Morris America. And honor to our host tonight, our National Assistant Grand Chief, of the Assistant Grand Chief is to Assistant Grand Chief and all the pastors. There's a cause and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known before the citizens of Morris America. We know the prophet did say, I brought you everything, takes to save a nation, I take it to save that stuff. And praise Allah. This has been a very divine and very powerful class, sir. The subject matter was out of chapter 34, Yehoshua the prophet finished his task and must now go to the sons of man with love divine and peace on earth. The subject matter was, and all the brothers stood and said, this is royal day for all hosts of the earth, for salvation has come to all the children of men. 6 times before the bar, 6 times a conqueror. And I was listening and just give a little quick portion. I understand it. I was listening and it just helped me to understand that, you talked about the green star. And this is part of that journey because, you're born at 360 degrees. That's how open great star you're talking about. That's everlasting life. And each pentagram is 72 degrees. Head, 2 arms, 2 legs, and we are born at 360 degrees. And then, there was so much that was taken away from us. We were buried. Our understanding was buried. Now, I'll be quick. But coming home to the Morris American government, yes, we had to get back to our heart. So we have to remind ourselves who made us, Allah, the great God of the universe, the one that set the holy prophet over drew our leaf out earth salvation. Then we had to work on our consciousness. And when we worked on our consciousness, we understand that we're not Negro, Black, colored, African American, and that we had a nationality, Morris America, and a race. And as we get these laws and lessons, then we understand that there was things that we had to conquer within ourselves. Things that we not only just say, but really truly believe and fix them within ourselves so that we can remove those errors, those things out of our way of thinking. Because, the thought is the cause of it all. And see, we was already confused and messed up above the neck because all the powers above the neck. Now that we have our conscience and conquer these things from within, study self, remind ourselves who made us, then we understand now that all the power was above the neck. And this is what they had to do to us. They had to destroy what was above our neck. And see, now that we understand that all our science is true. And when you talk about Elohim, you have to get a mirror because you're talking about yourself. And that's why the prophet says, study self, and you're responsible for self. And you have to know who made you.
And when every time that you mention Elohim, I say get a mirror because you are the one, you are the God, you are responsible. And everything, you have everything. The prophet said that I brought you everything it takes to save a nation. Now taking to save thyself. And he let us know that you own everything. Everything you own. All we have to do is continue to attend these classes, get these laws and lessons, strengthen the conscience, conquer it is that we need to conquer from within self, consider study self, and fix the things that need to be fixed, remove the things that don't need to be there, all that not causing all types of confusion. And remind yourself who made you, Allah, the great God of the universe, and in this place you find it within the heart. Islam, Peter, just quickly, the scimitar with me is at one phone direction with me was just for the night. It's still who made you. Because if you know who made you, then you stand with justice. And you demonstrate justice. Because we are love, true peace, freedom, and justice. Islam and peace.
And Islam and peace to you as well, Justice. You know, the grand drawing is really allowing one to see that this story that we went over is basically showing one that when you're able to conquer the self, you can stand in the presence of divinity. Fearless, upright, independent, and fearless. Because if you notice, there were places that even those who were angels couldn't tread. But when you become a full expression of the light being, you know, and you are fearless, you can go as you may. You have permission to stand in the presence of your God. And that's the whole essence of what we're talking about. That's what this science was given to us so that we become masters. You know, and our prophet was letting us know we can put, you know, all middlemen aside. After you receive these instructions, you've been guided. I mean, who else do you need? Well, Islam. Well, all right. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and exercise day 5?
Islam.
Islam. Sister Curta Bay.
Islam. That's engineer Curtis Bay. First, let me rise and give praises to a great God Allah. Give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to all our government officials. And I give honors to you, National Assistant Grand Chief. And I am coming through the conference call because I wasn't sure if I could come through on the live stream. So I'm coming through on the conference call. So hopefully everybody can hear me. But I tell you, God, man, I'm just in awe. You covered so much. I definitely got to go back and just listen because there was so many things that you said, and due to time, I'm just going. What really helped me, and like you said, you're showing us what we got to go through to become conquerors and master, master this lower self and master this flesh and be the conquerors walking here on this earth because we are the gods and goddesses that's going to take this message to the four corners of the earth. And if we don't get these lessons, and when I sit here and I listen to you, oh man, go through all of these lessons, and I'm like, oh, Allah, please help, because this is nothing to play with, and it's so, it's when you look at Yehoshua, I know we can do it, and what you broke down, I tell you, you broke down so many things that I was excited about when you was talking about the scimitar and how the bar represented Allah, how that middle part represented the swift angels, and how the blade represented the master teachings and the Katesh, how I'm probably not saying it right, but how that represented a ruler and the noble man, and you just covered so many when you was talking about the seraphim, how that angel is the guardian of and to keep the note out, and how the seraphim, that's the spirit, of Allah. And then to top it all off, you gave the story about the young man dying, and I know I have not nobody person, but I've heard testimonies. Not nobody that I personally know, but I have heard testimonies just like what you say. The person being pronounced dead, and they talk about a light that they see, and then they get to this place, beautiful place. They don't want to come back, and yet this voice, somebody tells them it's not your time. You got to go back because you're not finished, and things of this nature. And usually, when I hear those people talk, when people have experiences like that, a lot of times those people, they their life is not, they are not the same no more like they used to be. It's almost like they are not afraid to die. They want to get done what they need to get done, be about their father's business and keep it moving. It's like their whole life changed. And then last, but not least, like I said, you've shown us how we are to become conquerors. And I wanted to ask God, man, where were you reading that from? That was some powerful reading. So, and then talking about Muhammad going through those different stages and places of the angels, but Gabriel and none of them, they couldn't go. Oh man, I definitely got to go back, take my time, and listen to this playback here. But my question, where was you reading that from? That was some powerful reading. Gratitude for letting me share. Peace and love.
And gratitude for sharing. Yeah, there's a lot of history behind this Lote tree of the utmost boundary. And it has a lot of powerful lessons in the knowledge that relate to that. It's a whole plethora of wisdom that one can gain from that information. But yeah, this is what we talking about. If that ain't a senior course, I don't know what it is. Muhammad went through the 7 levels of heaven in his initiation under the Comedian Adept, the Angel Jibril. And then he went to the man. Yeah, that's powerful. Islam. Well, the floor is still open, more. After that grand dissertation given by our sister Curtis Bay. Come on now. Islam, Brother Michael Morbey.
Gratitude. Yes. Gratitude. Yes, sir. Yes, this is Divine Minister Michael Morbey. In the territory of West America, based on our faith. God, man, this is very dynamic. When we talk about the scimitar, we know that the scimitar is the supreme symbol of justice. And we know that through the divinity and consciousness of this justice is the foundation of our principles. Because we find justice in keeping our hearts and minds filled with love, justice in staying in the straight and narrow path. And in fact, justice is our principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and staying in our highest self.
that is our divine constitution. And I see the being a conqueror, being a divine uh, mastermind, as Yehoshua was. I come to see uh, the scimitar falls in line with the, or should I say, with the Zul Pickup. When I think about it, when I look at the 5-pointed star, wow, that is real deep because it takes us back into the Potsdam pot, bringing us back into the Isle of Gate, the house of Mukamai. And I love this demonstration because it shows us that we are, the direct descendants of the Canadian bloodline. And we know that Zulfikar was waved by the Idrisid dynasty. And, that came from the Moorish Empire. And I noticed that at that time, our banner was white clad, and our grand sister is the golden cord of our divine lineage as being descendants. And when you get in contact with that, wow, the open green star, also known as the Solomon seal. You're talking about how the Moorish flag unfolded. And, it was represented through the principles of action by our ancient mothers and fathers, the signs and symbols that are for those who have understanding that there is still much wisdom to be learned from the Moors, because we are indeed the inheritance of the Isles of Ka. Now that's the sword of Ali, and that's delivered to us by our holy and divine prophet El Hajj Guru Ali. I don't know what Guru Ali that is, and we understand that the scimitar being restored to us now in the last cycle ages is very, very inspiring to get in contact with the feelings of the Prophet Muhammad as he was reading, as he was going through the different levels and meeting the angels at each station. That is a mighty feeling of being a conqueror. That is a mighty feeling of being undefeated. And, that is so very outstanding for us being the direct successors and descendants of both, that era of time to see the importance of the time now as we are here, having established our own government, following the footprints that our prophets left clearly cut for us to be able to stand and represent. Praise Allah for you. And if you would expound on relation of the scimitar in our God. Islam.
Islam. So we give honors to you, brother, for that drawing. Praise be to Allah for your portion of the understanding. All right. That's what I'm talking about. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and exercise their fact? And nobody else want to come forth and exercise their fact?
Islam.
Islamism. What have you to say about a lot of prophet finishing his task and going before the Son of Men with love? After getting all them blessings, you can't come back with nothing but love, huh?
Islam. Dr. Larry Daniels Base, Satellite Company. First I rise and give praise and glory to Allah, the most merciful. And I give high honors to his holy and divine prophet, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, the last prophet in these days of time. And I give honors to Act 1 of our divine constitution. And I honor you, brother, great class, as always. And I honor all my brothers and sisters on life. Peace and blessings, peace and love. Well, brother, Lois, I was while you was giving the class, brother, I was meditating because I was already meditating on some things of being tapped into the source, and when that statement, one great thought made manifest, our Creator, and once we once we are tapped into to that love divine, it's like being a part of everything that is, everything that exists. So when I look up and see stars, and I think of the planets, even though I see different planets and different stars, but even though we see these planets, but our Creator, like we say, our Creator cannot be circumscribed, so He's beyond that, and that's just something within the circle of what is, and just getting deeper and deeper, just in your class, just lets the Moors know that, we have been knocked sideways, so to speak, because once a Moor get back on track, so to speak, and know who he is, and tap back into source, then all that other stuff kind of fades away, and he understands that, there's always today, and as life unfolds, he'll find himself like our prophet taught us, he'll find himself in the best place in order for him to get the lesson that he needs to get in order to perfect himself. So we're not going to be in just anywhere, especially when we're conscious, and because we're not being knocked around like being like a ping pong ball. But when a Moor has awakened, he don't get stressed out because he in a situation that he understands. He understands. All you got to do is sit back and think about it, because we're not nowhere where our Creator didn't put us so we can solve the problem. Because it's always something to be solved. If it's something that comes up, it's just that this class make a Moor think, that when he's tapped into source, he's always in the right place at the right time. And if he gets frustrated, he just, it's just something he got to learn. That's his frustration. Maybe he got to learn that, because, we're put in places in our life, to perfect ourselves, where we need perfection at, where we need work at, so when the Moor get quiet and go within, you figure it out every time. I've experienced that. I experienced that. About to get stressed out of myself because, there's nobody's fault but mine. But then I sit back and go within and just take my mind off it. Then after a while, it float right through because it was always there. The truth was always there. It's just that, the more was being distracted by something else, but it's a great class, brother, and it's sure waking them more up because when I see a planet twirling and twirling and become all that friction and I think about them more, when I see a planet going through a friction within itself and that negative and that positive, sparking at each other, and then after a while it comes out as pure light, and that's that more. This class just made me think about so many things, but it's a blessing. Peace and blessing, brother. Great class.
And peace and love. Grand measure. A student and teacher. Islam.
No.
Okay, come on in here, Mo. You biting at the bit? Come on.
Yeah, I was trying to get in, but I'm trying to come through the panel. But it dawned on me that it wasn't working then. I thought I was offline. Anyway, gratitude, God, man, for calling on me. I won't take my time. This is Dr. Marvin Evans, State Consul General of Texas Territory. Rising, giving all praise to the great God of Allah, giving highest honor to his prophet, to our prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Give honor to this class, our Morris Perspective class. Give honor to you, for hosting and instructing a most powerful class. More. I'm sitting there listening, and yeah, you can go in real deep. And coming from that I too, and all the brotherhood and all the brothers too, and it said, this is a royal day for all the hosts of the earth, for salvation has come to all the children of men. 6 times before the bar, 6 times the conqueror. And, I got to listen, and I was listening, continue to listen. And it's just like you say, you can't use the light, you don't have the light. And it just, comes to me that it's all about being patient. About being willing, applying that will to learning and continuing to learn and continuing to be humble. And it will come. I don't have to run to anything, try so hard. All I have to do is be patient and speak to the great God that's within me. And he will show me. He will open the doors, whatever door that I need to be in. And, it's very powerful. And when he was talking about the brother that had that near-death experience, I tell you, in the same situation that I've been in, it wasn't a physical thing, but, I've been taken to certain levels, you can just see certain things. Well, praise the Lord for sending us the prophet, for bringing us these lessons, for preparing us, and you spoke on. We are being prepared, and so all I need to do is just be humble enough, to be grateful enough, to be patient enough, to, when it comes, we don't have any fear. How can you be fearing anything when you know that the great God is within me? It just makes it so simple. It's complicated when I complicate it. But praise the Lord for the prophet, and praise the Lord for this North American government, and for all of the angels here. I've been angel. Like you were talking about, brother could go, but the angels couldn't. And that just reminds me of in the Bible scenario where it speaks about man is created a little above the angels. So it makes it plain.
you know what I mean, that we are here for a purpose. You know what I mean? We're going to get it done sooner or later, one way or another. You know, and we have to continue to come back. But while we're here, you know, we're here for a purpose. And the prophet made it well known who we are. You know what I mean? So there's no fear. So gratitude, God, man, for aiding and assisting on waking them more up, including myself. Gratitude, peace and love.
Well, we give honor to you for the drawing. Praise be to Allah. Brother Marvin Edwards Bay. Well,
Love divine.
okay, Lord Divine, come on up in here.
I keep it kiss. Because I hear the family them coming like biting at the bit. We always say it's the great God of love, great God of the universe. And honor to you also, and Aquan and so forth and so on. You know, as I said, the seal, emblem, flag, and all these, you know, everything that belongs to our 60 million plus. And as I hear, you know, one night they let us know that we're taking a summit, a workshop of the mind. And I hear that, you know, we have to stick to the script and, you know, get our lesson and essence. Because, you know, the people of Allah by all costs. And I even see some of the family online give about certain things and tell you that they're done. You know, no more competition and all these things. Because they know that, you know, these things belong to pure and clean nation. So that's why I said the family is anywhere. As I said, the gigantic work and we have to build on the shoulder of giant top one. One family, one love.
One Lord Divine, that's what I'm talking about. Knew you was somewhere around there.
Islam.
Islam.
Must time up, Grand Class. Islam, Sister National Grand Sheik. I'm checking in from the Michigan Territory. This is Sean Washington, Elmo Chuck, Raw Bayo. I rise and give all praise to the great God Allah. I give all honors to Sharif Abdul Ali, the Prophet. Give all honors to the theocratic government. I give all honors to the theocratic most government flag. Give all honors to everybody in this class tonight from Morris Can. I know I had that much. I got like 2 minutes left probably. After Sarah the Muslim brothers said we got 80 sisters, our brothers and sisters out here, you know, we gotta get them out they condition they in right now. I'm gonna speak on the flag, the Moorish national government flag. And you know, people still just not they think the Prophet when he got that Moroccan flag out the vote, you know, the Moorish organization, Temple, they think that he was bringing that back to us, but no. It was upside down. It was distressed. In the banner of the corporation. You know that the more democratic government flag has it got the 7. It got everything in the flag. You know, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And people cannot get over the scimitar. They thinking it's the Moroccan. You know that Moroccan flag. That's I be telling them that's over there, you know, the kingdom of Morocco, you know, Prophet, he was just letting us know it was distress. See, when he went to Cuba, he had it upside down, you know, and when he came back over here, he had it in the temples, his organization. Because him and his wife was, you know, I keep studying. I said, you know, he was telling us it wasn't our flag, you know. We had to create something new. You know, the Moroccan Empire fell, you know, once the Moors, when George Washington chopped the cherry tree down, so he had to prevent our wheels to, you know, wake us back up. That's why he said we had to come into our own 2000, you know. We had to form our own government, you know. And, you know, that's the Moroccan over there, you know, they got their own flag to them, you know. And it was, we had 12 Moroccan flags. That was the last one. That was the first one. And we had the scimitar. You know, people still can't see it today. They still can't function on that, on this Moorish government democratic flag sent as the UN. You know, grand class, peace and love, gratitude.
Islam. Well, all right. Gratitude. Islam. Is there anybody else trying to get in there? When we go to the officials. Thank you for your participation. Well, we hope that all of our family understand what it means to be a conqueror, and walk in the path of the light of divinity, and praise be to the great God Allah for sending us a prophet, and also guiding us along the path, so that we may become conquerors for the plane of things made manifest. So gratitude. And at this time, we're going to call for our officials. Start with Sister Allsetta Moonell. Islam, you there, sister? Well, all right. We know she's about her father's business. So let us call forth our National Grand Mufti, the Khonshu, Mark Heru Bey. Islam, you there, Grand Man?
Islam,
Islamism.
our religion, grand class, grand man. We rise first and foremost, giving all thanksgiving, adoration, worship, and praise to the only one worthy of those things. Our Father God Allah, the great God of the universe, most beneficent and most wise. And we give the highest honors that we can give to his prophet, our prophet, the last prophet in these days and in these times, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the savior of humanity. We give honor to his forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and we give honors to his government, our government, the Moorish American government, the government in which we live, according to ethics. We give honors to the officials of this government, our divine ministers and swift angels, our mufti, our royal council, our secretaries. We give honors to our citizens, the Moorish Americans. We give honors to our flag and our divine constitution and bylaws, our Holy Quran, our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, our Book of Fire, the exhuming of the nation. We give honors to everything that is Moorish. We give a special high honor to you, National Sister Grand Sheik, for bringing forth this grand Moorish perspective this evening. We give honors to all of our Moorish kin who have spoken before us, to our Moorish kin that will speak after us. We give honors to you, angels. We just continue to give the honors where they're due and honor all true and divine prophets. And we give honors to our ancestors as they have come before us leading the way. And we are them today without doubt or contradiction, because no one has the power to change man from his descendant nature. And praise Allah for that. Due to the time, we're just going to give you honors for the class. It was a grand class, a grand measure set out. When it comes to understanding, like you said, we got the will to move where others can't, to do things that others aren't able to. And we got to see the beauty in that, see the treasures and the benefit in that. As what you were stating, the prophets have come before us and they have tread the way and left the footsteps clearly cut so that we could see, exactly where we need to go. Our history is so great as you break it down, the scimitar, and understanding, how one was broke it up in the empire. Barack Obama had a star, and this other one got the sword in it, and it's all effects or residue or of what we've done as a people. Just as our Moorish American government, you can look out into the social media into what the Moors are doing in this day and time, and you can see the Moorish American government residue or light, you want to call it, all on it. Whether one wants to give it the props or not, it bears our mark. This is why once that we got the greatest government, this is what we're talking about, because the influence is influencing
all around, whether one wants to say it or not. It's like that one Michael Jordan in the NBA. They won. Everybody wants to talk about who's next. It makes no difference because one is still his greatness, and you can tell because everyone that's come after him is bearing his fingerprint. In some way, shape, or form, somebody that took one part of this part of that part and what he done brought forth made it their own. And so the prophets have brought us something, and like I said, the spirit of what the prophets are have that fingerprint, and you can see it in every religion. You can see it in every divine teaching. That truth that doesn't change or pass away. So, gratitude for this class this evening, and gratitude to you, Morris America, for being here with us and giving us the time and attention and respect. We love you. Islam and peace.
Well, all right. I want to give honors to you, National Grand Mufti, for that drawing, and honors to the tribe as well. Gratitude for that powerful measure. Speaking of powerful measure, let us call forth our Grand National Secretary of State, Sister Hatshepsut Rakat Ma'at and Pu, Tutankhamun Bey. You there, Goddess and Queen?
Close as a thought. Woo-wee.
Oh, man.
Praise Allah. Islam. Islam, Warishkin. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet Noble Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, with angels, muftis, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish kin. Giving honor to all those Moors that spoke before me, all those Moors that will speak after me. We want to give honor to this grand Moorish Perspectives class this evening. Giving honor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shadwa Menti El-Mohedjed Shepsuel, for opening our meeting according to law and also hosting this Grand Moorish Perspectives class this evening. Giving honor to our Consul General of Texas, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter for the week. We want to give so much honor to you, Dr. Shahi, for bringing forth this illustrious measure, our subject matter, and all the brothers stood and said, this is a royal day for all the hosts of the earth, where salvation has come to the children of men. 6 times before the bar, 6 times the conqueror. And when I was listening to the class and, taking notes, you definitely on the degree of Swift Angel, I was looking at just the grandeur of what it is that our ancestors have left to us and what the prophet brought back to us in reference to the Ansaretic priesthood of Moors and the Hashemite Moors, etc., coming out with debate teachings. And when we look at the brotherhood test that we have just come through, dealing with sincerity, justice, faith, adapt, degree, philanthropy, heroism, love divine, the adapt chamber of the dead, and how the senior course is now opened up. And you can see from that grand measure that you brought, dealing with the loaf tree, and much gratitude to you for that, more, because when I looked it up briefly, in essence, let me get it straight. Beyond the tree lies the realm of the absolute unseen and the essence of God. So this is the peak of the spiritual quest. So you can see all of the degrees prior that had to be conquered and mastered before you get to this level of the low tree. Because in essence, that's when you are coming face to face with your creator. And you notice, as one of the Moorish kin has stated, in reference to when he met the angels, is this your station? And each angel said yes, but I can't go further than this, otherwise I'd be obliterated. And then to the next angel, and he had to have conquered fear, doubt, troubled thoughts, and all this to be able to keep moving and doing as he was instructed to do. You didn't see no bucking or wait a minute, I got something else to do. He carried forth and completed his special mission. And that's the ascending that we have to do, and then the descending back to earth with instructions from the divine and certain things that cannot be spoken upon, and get this message out. So this was such a beautiful demonstration. And when you were speaking about the field of peace, I already saw that, in that lesson in reference to the level of paradise. And the other powerful thing for me, because we see, like if you're dealing with blind men, and each of them are touching an elephant, one sees Creator as a great trunk, another sees the Creator as having big ears or what have you. Well, too often our people, when they come from various avenues of life or various ideologies or organizational structures, too much time is being wasted on, no, the Creator is this, or no, the Creator is that, when in essence, it's the same history, the same degree, but you're looking at it from different aspects. So this is why love divine is so key, because too much time down through cycle ages has been wasted in reference to who's got the better God and why one should come follow after me, when in essence, it takes humbleness and sincerity and recognizing the fact that we have a mission of divinity, that we can't afford to be dragged along, dealing with competition, jealousy, hatred, any of these things that are distractions to what we are doing, supposed to be demonstrating in reference to the study of the self, in reference to completing our ministry of divinity, which is why we are here in the first place. So we know that forgetfulness is man's greatest enemy. So as long as we keep the vision that the prophet brought to us in reference to not only the uplifting of fallen humanity, but the building of the temple of perfected man. And with that out in the forefront, then you are able to go through the brotherhood test, and don't get hung up on the word brotherhood, because as you say, it is no gender in the level of the spirit. So in essence, when we stay focused on our mission at hand in reference to building the temple of perfected man within ourselves, we see various degrees of our prophets and our ancestors having paved the way to let us know which way we're supposed to be going. We can't afford to get taken off the count in reference to illusions, allurements, attachments, and distractions, because we have work to do on a divine scale. So this is such a powerful degree, and it reinforces, what the prophet brought to us. I brought you everything. All you have to do is take it and save yourself. Gratitude for this grand blessing. Peace and love.
And gratitude for the grand lesson, Grand National Secretary of the State. Powerful, powerful. Oh, man. Ooh-wee. Well, we already know. We can hear the wind coming right now for that summertime. My Grand National Chairman, Dr. Acting Pert M. Heru, got to bring on the manifest. You there, Grand Man?
You call me.
Man, I hear that summertime. Islam.
Man, woo. I get praise to Allah. And the last prophet these days and time. The last prophet that brought us his most American master everything that we needed in order to save ourselves as a nation, as a government. We got our own Grand National Seal, Grand National Grand National Flag, the divine Constitution. We even got our own prayer. More, we ain't got no business looking backwards. I say it again. We ain't got no business looking backwards, because we got so much to look forward to. It's an honor and a blessing, more. This is a powerful class. I am so pumped up right now. Look, I love you more. I'll tell you, Miala, Islamism without a schism.
That's right. Islamism without that schism. Praise be to Allah. We give honors to the tribe of endurance. Powerful measures. Honors to our chairman, man, for bringing, that scimitar and star in plain view, expressed in our Moorish flag. Man, if only our people knew what they had. But let us call forth our National Grand Sheikh, Dr. Serapis Amin Rael. Islam, you there, National Grand Sheikh? The Conqueror.
Islam, Dr. Shaheed. I don't see our National Grand Sheik on the board.
Well, praise be to Allah, Islamism without the schism. We know he's most definitely about the business of our Father God Allah. Minus doubt or contradiction, we just want to say once again to our family, praise be to the great God Allah. And we just say, stay on point, Moors. Be who you were born to be and continue to follow the path of Noble Drew Ali. If not us, then who? January 15, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work in their homes on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. When these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government or the prophet or violate the covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where the prophet found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. If the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. By order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, we bring forth this divine decree. Chapter 25, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nations. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breasts of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Moorish movement, divine movement, everlasting movement. Go in peace, Muslims.
Divine family, one love. Great class. That's the sister Grand Sheikh. Great
Long live North America. This section is no longer being recorded.
Islam, if we don't sail on smoother seas after this one, ain't no sailing. Islam, we love you, Moorish King. Peace and love. And we love you, Moors. We want to give honors to our family, too. Everybody that checked in. We give honors to all of our family that checked in. Tarif Bay, Charles Royale, and Brother Marquise. We give honors to all of you, and the best is yet to come. See y'all at the next juncture. Islamism without
Pure
the schism.
nation. Divine family, one love.
Islam, peace and love, one love. Islam, peace and love. See y'all in Sunday school.